Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, September 1st. Remarkable. It's been a few weeks since I have seen you. I've been fortunate to have some really, good auditions that happened to come up, and also had a booking last week. And so, as you all know, such is the nature of voiceover. Happy Wednesday in this crazy world. I hope that you are doing well. I've missed talking to you. If you would, of course, first and foremost, let me know that you're here by just saying hi in the comments, and that way I can say hi back and know that I'm not speaking in a vacuum. But I will speak in a vacuum if need be, for those of you who want to watch it on replay. So I want to say that I just got back from Dallas, Texas, and the One Voice conference, which was awesome, and the One Voice Awards ceremony, where I had the really actually quite the distinct pleasure of hosting the awards with Melissa Disney. It was really fun, and I want to say too, I was so impressed with the talent, both the nominees and obviously the winners. It was a really, I don't know, I was very much buoyed by the experience, and just seeing how the voiceover world is really growing and expanding, and really what talented people there are in our business. So it was a great experience, and I do highly recommend it, next year. I'm not sure where it will be next year, but I maybe Dallas again. I don't know. Anyway, it's a great experience, and I'll tell you, one of the things I absolutely love about these awards is it's the judging is blind, right? Nobody, if you submit something, first of all, you don't have to pay to submit in any category, and when your submission comes in, it's a blind submission, so nobody knows your name. And nobody knows who the judges are, not even the judges, right? The judges don't know who the other judges are. So it's quite, the playing field is really quite leveled. And I really, really appreciate that. And I think as a result, I witnessed like talent I've never seen before, heard before, which was just outstanding. I mean, I loved it. So I can't speak more highly of it, and I recommend it next year. It was a conference as well, so there were courses that were taught, and lots of great information imparted there. It was a very small conference. A lot of it, there were a lot of online participants, and I don't know, I'd say around 200 people that were there. It was a big open space, so we had some good social distancing, if you will, and everybody was really cognizant of the world we're living in, and I don't know, it just worked. So anyway, I shall sing its praises. Hi, Emily, Jeff, Philip, Patrice, Kim. Oh, you guys are here. Kevin, how are you? From Houston. Hi, Yvonne. Thank you so much for chiming in and saying hi. So what I want to touch on for about 15 minutes is pay-to-play sites. It's a hot topic, People have really strong opinions about pay-to-play sites, as well we all should. I come from kind of the old school world of voiceover, where I come from the acting world, and we're very quickly attached to agents, and that's where we find our opportunities, directly with talent agencies. But that is really, for the vast majority of people, that's kind of I don't know, it's a bit more of a remote, chance that's how many of us are gonna be pursuing our work. And so there's this whole crop of real entrepreneurial voice actors who are seeking their own work, finding their own way, cultivating relationships with their own clients. And I find, again, kudos. I am not an entrepreneur so much. I mean, I am in my own little way, but I never was as regards voiceover. And so I'm learning a lot from you about how all of that works. And so So while I am not an expert on pay-to-play sites, I am going to give you a little bit of information on people who are. Um, but I want to say this: there is really good opportunity on pay-to-play sites. But I would say that there are, at this point, kind of very few that I would trust. Um, what you have to do when you're an entrepreneur, is you kind of have to be a sleuth to find out the business practices of each of these pay-to-play sites. And so there are some, well, all of them, I think, have a fee structure, right? So that you are paying for opportunity. At first blush, that can seem like, why should I have to pay for opportunity, right? But we all pay. We all pay for opportunity, right? I pay my agents 10% of everything, every piece of work that I get, right? So it is not, I do not think it is untoward for a business who provides you with opportunity to expect to receive, remuneration for that, right? The question is, what's reasonable to pay? What do you get by paying? And those are the things that you have to evaluate when you're looking at pay-to-play sites. So some places will charge you fees at different tiers. That I don't ever suggest free memberships, because you really don't get opportunity. You're not first in line, that is for sure. And so it's usually, the first tier or the second tier provide kind of the best opportunities. I will say that there are some that have a really high tier, that sit at around $5,000 a year. And again, at first glance, you're like, whoa, that's like too much money, And for the vast majority of people, it is too much money, and it isn't a wise thing to invest in. But for some who've reached a particular level of their pay-to-play work, it is a good investment. Really, when you think about it, that's $5,000 is 10% of $50,000, which is, a good living in voiceover. So if you're pulling that much money in from a pay-to-play site, it's worth the price, right? So all charge a fee. Some stay in between the relationship. They act as a go-between. Those aren't the sites that I recommend. My favorite site is Voice123. It definitely has its pitfalls. It's not perfect. No site is. But the thing that's great about Voice123 is they provide you with opportunity. But once you establish the relationship with the client, the relationship is yours, and you get to determine your rates. You get to say yay or nay to whatever rate might be offered. If they ask you for your rate, right, that's yours to say. So you're really in the driver's seat, if you will. There's the one big pay-to-play site that I think everybody knows. If not, I'll write it in the comments. But they stay in the middle of the relationship, and it's no place that I think that they belong, really. So that's my main criticism of that particular site, and really the undercutting of rates on that site. So let me tell you, the opportunities in pay-to-play are plentiful. What matters is, and what's imperative, is just how actively you are participating on the site, and just how quickly you can return. You can turn around your auditions, how quickly you receive them and how quickly you turn them around. Usually on pay-to-play sites, the clients are looking for a certain number of submissions, and they have a particular deadline, and you gotta be in it. You have to be among the number, that they want to listen to, which means turnaround is critical, right? So if you're going to use pay-to-play sites, you really have to be self-motivated. Otherwise, all the opportunities are just going to pass you by, you got nobody to blame but yourself for, not getting up a little earlier and getting to those auditions, right? Um, so there's just so much opportunity, right? Um, I know people who the core of their careers, if not the entirety of their careers, is on pay-to-play sites, or through or a combination of working through LinkedIn to cultivate their own clients, right? So it is entirely possible to do good stuff on pay-to-play. So so the perils really are, that you can get lost if you are not if you don't have if you're trying to work from a free account, you're not going to get opportunity. It's just not going to happen. If you do, bump up to a paid membership, you can get lost again simply by not participating actively and quickly enough, right? And it's really easy to get complacent because things are just going to keep coming in, right? And so again, I think it's easier because there isn't I'll put it this way. I get complacent, with stuff from my agents, right? I get auditions that I miss, or I just kind of forget about because my day is doing what it is. And but I very often it's a person on the other end who will send me an email and go, "Hey, you gonna get that in?" Right? And I can respond, right? And go, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'll record it right now." It doesn't happen on pay-to-play sites. If you miss, you miss. Nobody is there pushing you. You have to push yourself, right? So one of the perils is getting complacent, and nothing will happen for you if you get complacent. The other thing that I think is really the biggest peril is undercutting yourself with regard to rates. And when you undercut yourself, you also undercut the rest of the industry, and that's a really big deal, and something I think we all need to pay attention to, and we really need to look out for each other in that regard. So let me say about that. If you are just starting, right? There are no beginner rates. There aren't. If somebody wants to hire you, they want to hire you. The very first radio spot I did in 1985, I got union scale. That's what I got on my very first job. So don't undercut yourself. Use the GVAA rate guide, Global Voice Academy. No, don't know what the other A is for, but if you look up GVAA rate guide, if you search that on the internet, it'll bring up the guide, and that guide is based on union rates, but they also offer really good and competitive non-union rates, and then you can also use the SAG-AFTRA rate guide as well, which I'll post here. I'll post both of those links when we're done. I've posted it in the group before. But I'll post again. So in that regard, right, you have to walk in prepared and know what your rates are, and know that there is no beginner rate. I could repeat that 1,000 times, right? I want to make sure you understand that, okay? Because I think a lot of people who are new to voiceover, or who are even in their first 2, 3, 4 years, somehow think that because they haven't been around long enough, that they're not worthy of a particular rate, or they ought to charge less because I don't have as much experience. Like that kind of thinking, you have to set aside, as hard as it might be. If they want to book you, you're worth paying for. That's just fact, okay? And again, I just come back to every union person, whoever did their first job, got the same rate as somebody else who's been around for 25 years. Okay, there are no beginner rates. All right, so let me say this. Hi, Rock VO, Vince, Paul. Hi, Paul. So let me get to this. So my colleagues, your colleagues, Natasha Marchevka and Catherine Toll, have created a course called Optimizing Your oh gosh, come on, KBS. Optimizing Your Experience on Voice 123. Okay, so I don't have stock in this company. I just think these two women are fabulous, and they've created a really great course. Because a piece of what works on a site like Voice 123, you have to understand the algorithms, right? And that doesn't come naturally to me. Like, I don't get that stuff, right? I just think, well, put up my profile and there are my demos and things should just be rolling in. But there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people on that site. So you kind of have to know how to optimize your page, and so that the algorithms work for you, so that you can get auditions that are more suited to what you do. Right? That's all going to help. So they have a course, and it is a reasonably priced course. I think it's $150, and you have it forever, and they do updates. And you can find it at, what is the website? I believe it is, where are you? Oh, v123pros.com. v123pros.com. So I really can't recommend that more highly. I got the course, and I just think it's great. So really, let me just, like, in a nutshell, sort of repeat all that. My favorite site is Voice 123. I'm also a fan of Bidalgo, and also, although I don't know it as well, I hear really good things about Cast Voices, which is Liz Atherton's site. And Liz was one of the principal agents at, oh my gosh, now I'm just going to completely forget the agency in Texas, in Austin. I can't remember. I'm sorry. That's so terrible. Anyway, when she retired from that, she created this casting site, and she is a big advocate for voice actors. So whatever is there, I know she's a fair and good and decent person. So Voice 123, Bidalgo. I think Bidalgo they may have particular requirements. I'm not certain if you need to be represented or if you have to have particular demos. I'm not certain of that, but you should certainly check it out. And then Cast Voices as well. And then I recommend to you v123pros.com, optimizing your experience on V123. And then rate guides. There are no beginner rates. Use the GVAA rate guide. Tag, yes, thank you, Kevin. Tag the Atherton group. There it is. Her name's right there. Liz Atherton. It's the Atherton group. Tag talent. Okay. Thank you so much for that. So use the GVAA rate guide and the SAG-AFTRA rate guides. There are no beginner rates. And then orient yourself toward, being an entrepreneur and motivating yourself, right? And because that's imperative if you're going to seek work on pay-to-play sites. That is kind of it. Those are my thoughts. Again, it is entirely possible to find and do good work. And also, pay-to-play sites offer opportunities for beginners as well as advanced, more experienced voice actors. With regard to, putting up a profile, again, you'll find out a lot of information about that in the V123 course. But for beginners, in case there are just some sort of like super beginners who are watching, don't be disheartened if you don't have, full-length demos. I think what's important is to, as Arthur Ashe has said, great tennis player, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. I don't know if it's in that order. But if you can record a very simple sample of your voice, that's enough, right? It's enough in order for you to begin to create a profile on Voice 123 and to begin to receive auditions so that you can start auditioning. Auditioning is king. Auditioning is the work. It is the job. So if you can start start, right? And over time, you'll update your demos, you'll gain some experience, your profile will become more expanded, and more, rounded out. So again, start where you are. If you have any questions about this, go ahead and put them in. I will answer them offline, if you will. I will answer them. And as always, please feel free to ask any question of me in the Trust and Be Brave coaching group, and I'm happy to get to it. So I hope you guys have a great remainder of your week, and be good to yourselves, be good to those around you. The world has always been crazy, I want to say. The world has always been in tumult, and it's particularly acute right now, and sometimes we feel really helpless and powerless over things that are happening in the world. And the one thing that we can do is we can do good in our own small circle, and that really is how you change the world. So I encourage you to be kind to yourself, be kind to those around you, and things will get better. Okay, much love to you all, and talk to you soon. Ciao.